I used to be the kind of husband who didn't ask too many questions. Maybe it was because I trusted her too much, or maybe because I didn't want to seem insecure. My wife, Emily, had been working in marketing for nearly a decade, and late nights were just part of her world. Campaign launches, client dinners, after-hours meetings, none of it raised red flags for me. At least, not in the beginning. I'd come home from my job in project management around 6, cook dinner, and leave a plate in the oven for her. Sometimes she'd get back at 9, other times closer to midnight. She'd apologize, kiss me on the cheek, and collapse into bed. I figured that was marriage. You make sacrifices. You support each other's careers. But looking back, I can see the small cracks that I ignored. The way she started dressing up more for late meetings than she did for our date nights. The sudden habit of silencing her phone whenever I walked into the room. The exhaustion that didn't come from work. It was the kind of drained look you have after pouring yourself into someone who isn't me. Still, I told myself not to be paranoid. Emily was ambitious, driven, and social. I was steady, quiet, and practical. We balanced each other. That's what I used to believe. One Friday night, she came home past 1 in the morning. I had been half asleep on the couch, waiting for the sound of the garage door. She looked startled to see me awake, like she'd been caught off guard. "Long day," she said, slipping off her heels. I nodded, not pressing, though a part of me wanted to. Instead, I asked if she wanted me to reheat dinner. She shook her head, said she'd already eaten. That was the moment something shifted in me. Not because of her words, but because of the way she said them. Casual, dismissive, like I was just a background detail in her night. The next day, I sat in the kitchen drinking coffee and noticed the small black square in the corner of the room. Our home security camera. We had installed the system 2 years ago after a break-in down the street. Honestly, I rarely checked it. The app sat buried on my phone, mostly ignored. But that morning, curiosity, or maybe instinct, made me open it. The footage played back in silence. At 12:47 a.m., Emily pulled into the garage. She walked inside, heels clicking against the floor, purse slung over her shoulder. She paused at the door, glanced around, and then motioned with her hand. That's when another figure appeared. A man. Broad-shouldered, confident, walking into my house like he owned it. My coffee went cold in my hand. I couldn't move, couldn't blink. He followed her into the living room. She laughed softly, a laugh I hadn't heard in months. And then she kissed him. It wasn't a stolen peck, not an accident. It was slow, familiar, practiced. The kind of kiss that said this wasn't the first time. I sat there staring at the screen, my pulse loud in my ears, replaying the moment again and again as if somehow the angle would change. As if maybe I had misinterpreted what I saw. But there was no mistake. That wasn't a colleague. That wasn't some harmless friend walking her to the door. That was a man my wife was comfortable enough to bring into our home. Our home. And kiss like he was the one who belonged there. The footage ended when they disappeared down the hallway. I didn't need to see the rest. My stomach already knew what my mind was refusing to fully accept. She hadn't just betrayed me. She had replaced me, right under my own roof. For the rest of that weekend, I moved through the house like a ghost. Emily went about her routines, humming as she folded laundry, chatting on the phone in the bedroom with the door closed. She even leaned over to kiss my cheek Sunday morning before heading out for brunch with the girls. Her lips touched my skin, but all I could feel was the memory of her kissing him, her laughter spilling into the living room like a soundtrack for my humiliation. I didn't confront her right away. Something inside me snapped, but not in the way you'd expect. I didn't rage. I didn't shout. Instead, I went quiet. I think she noticed, because she kept glancing at me during dinner Sunday night, asking if everything was okay. "Just tired," I said. And in a way, that was true. I was tired. Tired of being blind. Tired of being lied to. Tired of being the fool who thought loyalty meant something to her. Monday morning, after she left for work, I made a call. Marcus, my oldest friend, was an attorney. He picked up on the second ring, and before I even explained, he sighed. "Tell me she's cheating." "She is," I answered, my voice flat. From that moment, the gears shifted. Marcus guided me through every step. Separate accounts. Freeze the joint credit card. Secure my assets. quietly collect proof. I started documenting everything. Timestamps, footage, her so-called late nights. Meanwhile, I played my part perfectly. When she texted me during the day with quick updates, running late again, big project, I replied with supportive words. When she walked through the door with that fake yawn and story about impossible deadlines, I smiled and nodded. I made her dinner, listened to her half-truths, pretended nothing was wrong. But inside, I was already gone. Every word she spoke felt like static, every smile like a mask. The woman I had married, the one who used to make me laugh until my sides hurt, wasn't here anymore. In her place was someone who thought I was too dull, too trusting, too weak to notice the knife she had twisted in my back. I started going to the gym again after work. She thought I was trying to stay in shape, maybe even doing it for her. The truth? I needed an outlet. I needed somewhere to put the silence, the fury, the disbelief. And with every mile I ran, every weight I lifted, I felt myself harden. Not into anger, but into resolve. 2 weeks passed like that. 2 weeks of quiet performance. Of her lies brushing against my ears while I collected evidence like a man preparing for war. I had everything I needed. Footage, messages, even a receipt I found stuffed in her purse from a hotel not far from her office. Room 312. She didn't even bother hiding it well. The breaking point came on a Thursday night. She texted me. Another late one, don't wait up. But this time I didn't sit at home stewing in silence. I drove. Not to her office, not to the restaurant she sometimes used as an excuse. I went to that hotel, the one from the receipt. My hands trembled on the steering wheel the whole way, but my mind was ice. I parked across the street, my eyes locked on the glass doors. And then I saw them. Emily, her hair loose around her shoulders, laughing as she leaned into him. He held her waist like he had a right to, like she was his. They didn't even look around. They didn't care who saw. To them, I was already erased. I didn't storm inside. I didn't cause a scene. I just sat there, watching until they disappeared into the elevator. My chest ached, but it wasn't heartbreak anymore. It was clarity. The kind of clarity that makes you stop asking why and start asking what now. When I got home, the house felt different. Not ours anymore, just a shell. I walked through the living room, past the couch where she used to curl up next to me, past the pictures on the wall that told a story that wasn't true anymore. And then I sat at the kitchen table, opened my laptop, and drafted a single document. Divorce papers. The next morning, when she dragged herself in smelling faintly of perfume that wasn't mine, I didn't even flinch. She smiled, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "God, I'm exhausted." I slid the envelope across the table. "Then you'll need your rest. You've got a big day ahead." Her smile faltered as she picked it up, opened it, and scanned the pages. The color drained from her face. You don't mean this." "Oh, I mean every word," I said, my voice calm, steady. "You wanted freedom. Now you have it. I won't compete with someone who had no right to step into my life, and I won't beg for scraps of loyalty from a woman who thinks love is disposable." She stammered, tried to reach for me, her eyes wide with panic. But I pulled my chair back, stood, and left her sitting there in silence. For once, she was the one who had no script, no clever excuse, no control. That night, as I carried my bags into Marcus's spare room, I felt lighter than I had in months. Pain still sat heavy in my chest, yes, but beneath it was something stronger, relief. I had seen the truth, faced it, and chosen myself. And for the first time in a long time, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I would never let anyone make me feel invisible in my own life again.